So what we have discussed till the previous class was what are the types of beams, how they are classified. They are classified depending upon the number of supports, and what is the definition of statistically determinate and indeterminate beams. Now, in the previous class, I had told you that to the maximum we can solve for three unknowns. This is the reason why, if more than three unknowns are generated in due to the supports in a beam, then it is termed under the head statistically indeterminate beams. So now let us see what is equilibrium. What do you mean by static equilibrium, and what are the three governing equations based upon which you actually specify that these are the three conditions for which you will be solving a problem. So uh, let me take you back to class 11, 12th. You must have gone through parallelogram law of forces. So parallelogram law of forces says that if P and Q, I won't be going through the derivation because I hope everybody has done it in class 11th or 12th. If two forces P and Q are represented along the adjacent sides of a parallelogram, and they subtend an angle theta between them, then the resultant is given by P square plus Q square plus 2pq cos theta. Then the resultant is given by P square plus Q square plus 2pq cos theta, and you can also find out the inclination made by the resultant. That is tan inverse y by x. So that is easily calculatable. So R is given. So now let us come to the term equilibrium. Equilibrium means that the sum of all forces, sum of all forces acting
आगे भाई कहाँ मेरे को लगी तो जगह होगी दादी के लिए रही
Huh. Equilibrium means that sum of all forces acting in a system, this is equal to zero. Now, what do you mean by a system? System means that, let us say you have an xy coordinate system, and you have number of forces F1, F2, this is F3, this is F4. These are four forces acting in a system. So the method of solving it is we resolve the forces. We resolve it in two directions. So if you resolve it in two directions, what we have, this is sum of all forces in x direction, and this is sum of all forces in y direction. So what happens? Resultant is given by under root sigma fx whole square plus sigma fy whole square. And the angle made by the resultant, let us say that this is your resultant R. Let us say phi is the angle made by the resultant with the horizontal. Then phi is given by tan inverse sigma Fy by Fx. So this is something you all must be previously knowing. I'm not telling you anything new. So how to resolve forces? If this is the theta angle made by force F1 with the horizontal, then this F1 is resolved into two components where F1 cos theta is your x component and F1 sin theta is your y component. So probably this is clear to everybody, and if you still have a doubt, you can come back to me. I'll arrange a special session for it and I'll explain you how to resolve forces. But for the time being, let us assume that you know how to resolve forces into two mutually perpendicular components, x axis and y axis, represented by sigma fx. You can find out the sum, and they are depending upon the angle which is specified either with the horizontal or the vertical. You decide whether it is to be represented or multiplied by cos theta or sin theta. Now, equilibrium, the statement says that where the sum of all forces acting in a system is zero. So if the sum of all forces acting in a system is zero, then equilibrium means that for equilibrium, the resultant has to be equal to zero. For a system to be in equilibrium, the resultant has to be zero, because then only you can specify this term that the sum of all forces is zero. Now, if the system is in static equilibrium and the resultant is zero, this situation can only be achieved if sum of all forces in x direction is equal to zero and sum of all forces in y direction is equal to zero. So these are the two conditions where you specify whether the system is in, or these are the two equations which help you find out unknown quantities if the system is in a state of static equilibrium. Now let us come to the third equation of static equilibrium. So third equation of static equilibrium is specified by Varignon's theorem. This equation is used to specify the third equation of static equilibrium. This says that the sum of moments produced by all individual forces acting in a system is equal to the moment produced by the resultant. Check. So this is the statement of Varignon's theorem. The sum of moments produced by all individual forces acting in a system is equal to the moment produced by the resultant. Now, to what is moment now? Now, moment is force multiplied by perpendicular distance. Force multiplied by perpendicular distance. So the unit of force is Newton, unit of distance is meters, so the unit of moment is Newton meter. Now let us come to the statement what is perpendicular distance and what is parallel distance. So to find out moment, first thing that is important, let us say, to find a moment, what do we need? force magnitude, obviously we must be knowing. We need distance. So the first thing that we need to know is the reference point. What is the reference point which is governing this distance parameter? So once the reference point is known, we can calculate the moment force multiplied by perpendicular distance. So again, let us see what do you mean by perpendicular distance. Let us say that this is a force. This is a force which is acting here. And this is a point. This is some point P. Let us not denote it by P because this is some force PF. This is some origin O. And this is some distance X. Okay. So let us find out the moment with respect to point O. So moment of point F with respect to point O, moment of force F with respect to point O, M is given by F into X. Okay. So what do you mean by, how did you specify that this was your perpendicular distance? Okay. So to specify perpendicular distance, you can take number of methods. You can understand number of ways that ये आपका F की एक्सिस है, ये हमारा पॉइंट है, इस पॉइंट से आप एक परपेंडिकुलर बनाइए और उस परपेंडिकुलर को वहां तक ले जाइए जहां तक जिस पॉइंट के अबाउट आपको निकालना है. जब वो उस पॉइंट पे पहुंच जाए, ठीक, तो उसके बीच में जो आपने दूरी ट्रेवल की है वही आपका एक्स कहलाएगा. एक तरीका ये है समझने का. अब
सर
हाँ,
ये जरूरी है कि हमेशा हमारा रेफरेंस पॉइंट फोर्स के परपेंडिकुलर ही होगा?
अगर नहीं है तो आपको परपेंडिकुलर डिस्टेंस कैलकुलेट करनी पड़ेगी, आपको रिजॉल्व करना पड़ेगा एक्स कॉस थीटा और साइन थीटा में.
ओके ओके सर.
ठीक. सो ये एक्स हो गया. अब मोमेंट के साथ एक टर्म आता है क्लॉकवाइज और एंटी क्लॉकवाइज, बिकॉज दिस इज समथिंग विच इज रिलेटेड टू rotation. So in general practice we have a sign convention that if it is clockwise in nature, the moment is taken as positive. If it is anti-clockwise in nature, the moment is taken, this is not anti-clockwise. If it is anti-clockwise in nature, this is taken as negative. So if the moments are clockwise in nature, it is taken as positive. If the moments are anti-clockwise in nature, they are taken as negative. So with respect to this point, if you look at the force, it tends to rotate the body in clockwise direction. So it is termed as a positive moment of magnitude F into X. See? To make your understanding more clear, what I can do is, let us say that you are taking moment about this point. So this is, draw another parallel vertical line here. So this distance becomes X. How will the force move? How will the force move so that it approaches this line by the shortest possible way? So it has to move in clockwise direction so that it moves this reference line by moving in the shortest possible distance. So this is called as clockwise movement. Similarly, if this would have been your reference and this would have been your force. Let us say this distance is y. Then the moment would have been given by F into y, and let us again draw a reference point here. How will the force move so that it touches this reference? There are two ways. Either it can go like this or it can go like this. This is the longest path. This is the shortest possible path. So the movement along the shortest possible distance is anti-clockwise direction. So this is minus F into y. Anti-clockwise moments are shown by a negative sign. Clockwise moments are shown by a positive sign. So you need to
शॉर्टेस्ट
understand.
डिस्टेंस सर, शॉर्टेस्ट डिस्टेंस हमेशा कंसीडर करेंगे?
हाँ, shortest distance movement का. ठीक है. The
Okay,
perpendicular
okay, sir.
distance is always the shortest distance because the shortest distance between any two points is obviously the straight line. ठीक है. किसी भी दो पॉइंट के बीच का जो सबसे छोटी दूरी है वो उनके बीच में एक स्ट्रेट लाइन बना दो, वही तो है. तो जो
सर
सबसे
उसको डिस्प्लेसमेंट भी तो कह सकते हैं.
नो डिस्प्लेसमेंट, बॉडी इज एक्चुअली नॉट मूविंग. सो डिस्प्लेसमेंट यहाँ पे एक अलग टर्म आ जाएगा. अगर जैसी डिस्प्लेसमेंट आएगा फिर वो वर्क डन के टर्म्स में कैलकुलेट होगा. सो दिस मोमेंट विल बिकम वर्क डन. देखिए अगर आप देखें तो यूनिट सेम है, फोर्स इनटू डिस्प्लेसमेंट. ठीक है. बट इफ द बॉडी इज अंडरगोइंग सम डिस्प्लेसमेंट दैट डज मीन दैट डज क्लियरली मीन्स दैट इट इज नॉट इन अ स्टेट ऑफ स्टैटिक इक्विलिब्रियम. So you have to, in engineering, several things have the same name, but depending upon the interpretation and the application for which you are using, things actually change. ठीक है. तो आप दो डिस्प्लेसमेंट, अब आप ये भी कहें कि डिस्प्लेसमेंट है, डिफॉर्मेशन है. ठीक है. एक्चुअली बॉडी लंबी हो रही है तो बॉडी इज एक्चुअली इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंग्लिश इट इज गेटिंग डिस्प्लेस्ड ऑल्सो. But here English does not come into play. Here technical sense comes into play, and technical sense says that if there is a case of displacement, then the body is not in a state of static equilibrium. If it is not in a state of static equilibrium, we are ultimately wasting our time studying static equilibrium. So we need to understand what is static equilibrium. If there is static equilibrium, obviously there won't be any movement. ठीक है. So now let us come to the proof of Varignon's theorem. So Varignon's theorem का statement हमने देख लिया. The sum of moments produced by all individual forces has to be equal to the moment produced by the resultant taken about the same point. So let us say that you have an XY force system, and this is F1 subtending an angle of theta1. You have F2, another force which is subtending an angle of theta2, and you have some another force F3 which is subtending an angle of theta3 with the horizontal. Okay. So what you have done is, let us say that you have taken some reference which is located at a distance of x. This is some distance x. So F1 can be resolved into two components, F1 cos theta 1 and F1 sin theta 1. F1 sin theta 1 lies on this axis. So if the force is also lying on this axis, that means the perpendicular distance is 0. So if the force is lying on this axis, then only you have a perpendicular distance. So if you resolve it, you have F1 cos theta 1 multiplied by x. So the sum of moments, जो भी हमारा स्टेटमेंट है हम उसी को मैथमेटिकल फॉर्म में लिख रहे हैं. What is the moment produced by F2? F2 cos theta 2 lies on this axis. F2 cos theta 2, F2 sin theta 2 lies on this vertical axis. If it is lying on the vertical axis, that automatically means that there is no perpendicular distance, क्योंकि हमारा reference भी उसी axis पे lie कर रहा है. So this is F2 cos theta 2 into x. And similarly for F3, you have F3 cos theta 3 into x. This is equal to the moment produced by the resultant. Okay. So the moment produced by the resultant, let us say that this is your R, which is subtending an angle theta. So the moment produced by the resultant, now this resultant will also have two components. The vertical component is R sin theta, the horizontal component is R cos theta. So only the cos theta component will be producing moment because this will be parallel to this axis. So this is R cos theta into x. Okay. If you remove all x in this equation, you can remove all x. Then you get F1 cos theta 1 plus F2 cos theta 2 plus F3 cos theta 3 is equal to R cos theta, which is true. as because this is true, because sum of all horizontal components is equal to the horizontal component of the resultant. So if this is true, this means that this automatically becomes true. So you have r cos theta. So this is your moment equation for static equilibrium. So that means if moment m1 is produced by force F1, okay. Now for a system in equilibrium, what happens? R is 0. So that means, therefore, sum of moments taken about a point will be equal to 0 if the system is in static equilibrium. So that means sum of all moments is equal to 0. This is your third equation of static equilibrium.